host Aditya Pratap Singh signing in for today's amazing podcast session brought to you by Team Enactors Shamlar College Evening, a team of brilliant minds dedicated to bring about a change in the society. Through our Project Qissah's podcast sessions, we aim to bring forth the stories of inspirational and fabulous people, such as our guest for today. Last week, we had an interesting talk with Acharya Prashant and learned how spirituality and dedication can pave the way to success. If you haven't watched it yet, do check it out on Project Qissah's YouTube channel. All right. For today's session, we have a mountaineer, an adventurer, fitness enthusiast, and physically a true beast. Please welcome Mr. Kuntal Joisher.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciate your kind introduction and glad to know that Acharya Prashant was on the show as well. I am a big fan personally of Acharya Prashant as well. And I've had a chance to sit down with him and take his interview. It is published on his channel as well. So it's always good to learn from him and see his perspective of things, and both of us also connect at the level of veganism, so that's also something that we share common ground about in terms of our thoughts around how we treat animals and compassion towards animals. So yeah, I'm happy to be here and happy to share my story with you and your audience.
Yeah. All right. So, like to head start with the podcast, I'd really like to know like where did it all start? I mean, your extraordinary journey of becoming the first vegan to conquer Mount Everest. Like, can you share with our listeners what inspired you to take this monumental challenge?
So first of all, I want to clarify this, and I do this every single time. I've done, I think, tons and tons of podcasts, interviews, talks. I think it's already running into 500 plus events that I've done in the last few years or so. And every time someone tells that, hey, welcome Kuntal Joisher, he's the first vegan in the world to conquer Mount Everest. So I want to stop you right there that I did not conquer any mountain. Number one thing. And if you are going to invite any mountaineer on the show, I hope they will also agree with me that they did not conquer any mountain, because I truly, honestly believe no mountain can be conquered. It's always the mountain that holds the key, and it's always the mountain that decides whether it's going to allow you to climb it. If Everest wanted me dead, I would not be sitting here and talking to you. Okay, I would be dead long ago. Okay, or if Everest wanted me to go home, I would have gone home. So that I want to clarify that I didn't conquer any mountain. Number one, let's just keep that aside. I spent time on top of Everest for a few minutes because Everest allowed me to. That's there, and yes, through the journey, there were a lot of things I did conquer, and like how Sir Edmund Hillary says that it's not the mountain you conquer, but you conquer yourself. And so through this journey, I conquered my own fears, my own self doubts. Sometimes we set limitations for ourselves that I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do this. And sometimes you have to break those limitations, you have to conquer those limitations. So there was a lot of conquering that happened while the monumental journey to climb Everest. And monumental in my context, I think if you will ask a, a very serious alpinist or a very serious mountaineer today that, hey, I climbed Everest, and they would be like, oh, sure, you climbed Everest, no big deal. But in my case, in my context, especially where I was coming from, where, since you said, how did this all start? Right? How did this all start? Uh, Look, when I decided to climb Everest, yeah, I am a Gujarati. I come from a Gujarati background, and if you know anything about Gujaratis, you would know that climbing mountains is not our forte from any angle whatsoever. Okay, so there's no genetic predisposition towards doing any physical fitness feats or any climbing feats. I live in Bombay, which is plus 40 degrees Celsius throughout the year, and then going and climbing in minus 40 degrees Celsius, uh, not going to happen. In 2009-10, when I discovered my dream of climbing Everest, I was 110 kilos. Software engineer, absolutely unhealthy. From, if you would have told me, Kuntal, go and do a local hike of, like, just climbing 200 stairs to a temple top, I would have said, are you crazy? I'm not going to do any of this stuff. Okay, so all of this, and on top of that, I was a vegan. Hopefully through this, next 35, 40, 45 minutes of talking, I will be able to convince you that veganism is not an handicap. But back then, when I decided to climb Everest, everyone was like, vegan कैसे चढ़ सकता है, vegan कुछ नहीं कर सकते, like this, that is how people viewed vegans a decade or a decade and half ago, that vegan हो कहाँ से प्रोटीन मिलता है, विटामिन डी कहाँ से मिलेगा, विटामिन बी 12 कहाँ से मिलेगा, तुम जिंदा कैसे हो, like that, those are the kind of questions I used to get, मर जाओगे तुम types, so all of this was happening. And to think of climbing Mount Everest, honestly, if 2009 mein you would have come and told me in my dream, Kuntal, you are going to climb Everest maybe a decade later, I would have said, भाई क्या drugs पे हो, जरा मुझे भी बताओ, मुझे भी समझ में आए क्या, कहाँ से तुम्हें ऐसे सब सोच आ रही है. So so that's where I started from. But since you asked vegan and Everest, first of all, I turned vegan almost 21 years ago. This was way back in December of 2002. And I was doing my master's in computer science from University of Southern California in Los Angeles. So, वहाँ रह रहा था. And I was always a vegetarian, being born and brought up in a vegetarian family. But कैसा था ना कि किसी ने केक दे दिया जिसमें अंडा है तो खा लिया, किसी ने लेदर बेल्ट गिफ्ट में दे दिया, वॉलेट गिफ्ट में दे दिया, पहन लिया, रख लिया. ऐसी सारी चीजें जिसमें कन्वीनियंस की बात आ रही थी ना, लाइक ओके, if I can't see the egg, like if someone gave me an omelette, I will not eat an omelette. If, right? Or if someone like gave me a piece of meat, I would not eat that. But किसी ने Snickers bar दे दिया and that has egg, I would eat it. But think about it, there's really no difference between that omelette or a Snickers bar. एग तो एग है, इसमें गया उसमें गया, कुछ क्या फर्क है. बट मेरे लिए कन्वीनियंस की बात थी, एंड मेरे लिए ये भी बात है, मैं तो वेजिटेरियन हूँ. Until I went to United States, and there my roommate, who was also a very staunch vegetarian, or is also today, uh, started looking at the choices I was making in terms of on my plate, in terms of my clothing, or all of those things, and pointed out the discrepancy. That omelette नहीं खा रहे हो but ये खा रहे हो, ये नहीं कर रहे हो but ये कर रहे हो. So that cognitive dissonance, or whatever you want to call it, right? Like dogla behavior, या फिर convenience related behavior. He started pointing out a lot of those things, and I started asking him a lot of questions, and he started kind of guiding me towards a little bit more about animal food industry and everything, like meat kahan se aata hai, eggs kahan se aate hai, leather kahan se aata hai, and started sharing me all the undercover videos. That back then तो there was no social media, कुछ भी नहीं था. Internet was just very accessible to most of us now, especially I was in the US, so reasonably accessible था internet और websites और सब कुछ था. So I started educating myself, and I'm not going to go deep into any of this, but I'm just going to say that I connected the dots, that there is really no difference between a piece of milk or a piece of meat, a glass of milk, a block of cheese, an omelette, a leather belt, or a Snickers bar, or any of these things, and that they all are same, that they come from abused and slaughtered animals. And that if I am not eating one, then why am I eating the other or wearing the other? And I had to reconcile this disconnect between my thoughts, which were I would really like to take care of animals, and then my actions, which never matched with those thoughts. And so I was, एक कभी कभी हम मोड पे आ जाते हैं लाइफ में, एंड उस मोड पे था मैं मेरे लाइफ में. I was just 22. Look, yeah, life was chill. मेरे फ्रेंड्स थे, मूवीज थे, चिल इंडिपेंडेंट लाइफ जी रहा हूँ यूएस में. तो ये लाइफ थी मेरी। कभी कभी ऐसी लाइफ में थोड़ी एपैथी आ जाती है, और कुछ यहाँ राइट रॉन्ग की बात नहीं हो रही है, ऐसी थी मेरी लाइफ में, क्या करूँ, कुछ वो नहीं है। एनीवे, सो ऐसा मोड़ आया ना जहाँ आई हैड टू चॉइसेस। आई कुड इजीली हैव सेड कि इग्नोरेंस इज ब्लिस, ये लाइफ बहुत ही अच्छी है, लेट्स मूव फॉरवर्ड। और आई कुड हैव सेड दैट आई एम गोइंग टू टेक अ स्टैंड against an oppressive practice and do something about it. And that doing something about that was standing up for the cause of animal rights and going vegan, because मेरे पेट में क्या जा रहा है और मेरे बॉडी के ऊपर क्या जा रहा है, ये तो डेफिनेटली एज अ प्रिविलेज पर्सन मेरे कंट्रोल के अंदर है। ऐसा तो है नहीं मैं कोई इनुइट या एस्किमो जो नॉर्दर्न कनाडा में जी रहा है और उसके पास कोई चॉइस नहीं है। मेरे पास तो अच्छी खासी चॉइस थी, पैसा था, सब कुछ था। सो आई वाज अ प्रॉपर प्रिविलेज पर्सन इन अ प्रिविलेज पोजीशन, एंड मेरे पास चॉइस था कि मैं क्या डाल रहा हूँ अपने बॉडी में और खाने में। एट दैट पॉइंट इन माई लाइफ आई decided to take a stand for animals. And I have to tell you, and I tell this to everyone, that that was the game changer for my life. That was truly the game changer. And you'll ask, यार कुंतल स्पिनच खाने से कैसा चेंज हो गया तुम्हारा लाइफ यार, या फिर पत्ते घास पत्ते खाने से कैसे तुम्हारा लाइफ चेंज हो गया? यहाँ खाने की बात नहीं है, यहाँ एक सिंबॉलिक डिसीजन की बात है कि I looked at a certain practice as very oppressive, as very unethical, एंड फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम, एंड मैं यहाँ कोई मॉरल हाई ग्राउंड लेने नहीं आया हूँ, तुम बुरे आदमी हो, मैं अच्छा आदमी हूँ, तुम एनिमल्स खा रहे हो, मैं नहीं खा रहा हूँ, तुम गंदे आदमी, मैं ये डिबेट करने नहीं आया हूँ मैं यहाँ। मैं सिर्फ बोल रहा हूँ मेरे पर्सपेक्टिव से लाइफ कैसे चल रही थी। सो आई लुक्ड एट दिस एंड आई सेड, यार, फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम इन माई लाइफ आई हैव टेकन अ डिसीजन और अ स्टैंड फॉर समथिंग, एंड that opened floodgates of these things in me, where I started going on journey of self reflection a lot more than I had ever in my 20 years of existence. And that proved, and that has been who I have been till date in the last 20 years or so, where I have constantly self reflected, and brutal self reflection, right? ऐसे ही नहीं, हाँ यार थोड़ा ऊपर ऊपर से सुपरफिशियली कर लिया और छोड़ दिया, right? ब्रूटली देखो, अपने आप अंदर झांको, कहाँ प्रॉब्लम्स है, क्या मैं बेटर हो सकता हूँ। मैं एक्सपीडिशन पे गया, वापस आया, क्या मिस्टेक्स हुई मेरे से, राइट? आज अभी आजकल का जनरेशन कैसा है मालूम है? पहाड़ पे जाएँगे और अपनी मिस्टेक ही है, गारंटीड अपनी मिस्टेक है। लाइक लेट्स से एक बहुत ही इंडिया की जिसको बोलते हैं प्रॉमिसिंग नेक्स्ट क्लाइंबर बोला जाता है जिसको। अभी वो पहाड़ पे गई, ठीक है? जिस पहाड़ का नाम था अन्नपूर्णा। अब वो पहाड़ पे गई एंड पहाड़ पे जाके उसने थोड़े बुरे डिसीजंस लिए, खुद फँस गई, खुद के शेर्पाओं को भी फँसा दिया पहाड़ पे, एंड luckily she was miraculously rescued by a helicopter pilot from way, way high up on the mountain when she was nearly dead. Luckily, her Sherpas had given her some food and oxygen and everything, using which she was able to survive. सब कुछ हो गया, उसके बाद आके उसने, what interview she gave? That my Sherpas were inexperienced and they didn't take care of me. Instead of inward looking, where you are looking at, यार मैंने क्या mistakes की? First mistake was I broke the rules of acclimatization. Second mistake was, instead of just walking one way for 11, 12, 13 hours, which is what my limit is, I walked double the amount of that, which means I crossed all my limits. And you are making terrible decisions after terrible decisions, but instead of looking at those terrible decisions and saying that here is where I have room for improvement, अगर आप हमेशा एक्सटर्नल ब्लेम गेम खेलने वाले हो, ये बुरा है, 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 सब बुरे, मैं बुरी नहीं हूँ, बस पूरी दुनिया बुरी, मैं बुरी नहीं हूँ टाइप्स, अगर एटीट्यूड ये होगा, तो जिंदगी में कभी आगे प्रोग्रेस नहीं करने वाले। सो दिस इज इन द लास्ट 20 years what I've, but it all kickstarted with me taking a stand against something or taking a stand for something, and that has allowed me to become this person I am today. And of course, mountains, I have learned a lot from the mountains, because 8 years later, on a chance trip to the Himalaya with my wife, I discovered my true love and my biggest dream of my life, which was to reach the top of Mount Everest. Or I have to say that today my dream is not reaching the top of any particular mountain or any of those things. It's I just love being in the mountain. I live in Mumbai, and 2 hours away from Mumbai, there are some spectacular mountains. But the highest, the highest mountain near Mumbai is where Kathmandu is situated. So you can imagine how, like, where I live, the mountains are not that high, but still, I am truly, madly, and deeply in love with mountains. And I don't really care whether mountains are 10 feet, 100 feet, 1,000 feet, or 10,000 feet, or 30,000 feet. Mountains are truly mountains. They are the place where I am genuinely able to connect with not only myself and my deep character, bare bone character. कुंतल कौन है, उससे मैं कनेक्ट कर पाता हूँ. But even more than that, I am truly. I look. I'll be very honest. I'm not a believer. I don't believe. I don't believe in, in that grand power or anything. But if there is something I believe in, I believe in nature. I believe in mountains. I believe in rivers. I believe in oceans. I believe in humanity. I believe in all of in the whole in the whole planet, in the whole universe. And if there is a connection that I can establish with all of those things, for me it is very easy to do all of that in the mountains. And I truly feel alive in the mountains. And so for me it's not like मैं एवरेस्ट मुझे एवरेस्ट चढ़ना है, मुझे ये चढ़ना है, मुझे वो रिकॉर्ड क्रिएट करना है, मुझे ये क्रिएट करना है, मुझे वो क्रिएट करना है. मे बी था पहले, मे बी थोड़े साल पहले था, क्योंकि उस आई वॉज ऑन दिस जर्नी टू प्रूव दैट वीगनिज्म इज नॉट अ हैंडीकैप, दैट वीगन्स कुछ भी कर सकते हैं, वीगन्स एवरेस्ट चढ़ सकते हैं, वीगन्स ओलंपिक का गोल्ड मेडल जीत सकते हैं, वीगन्स कुछ भी कर सकते हैं, इन in hopes to show everyone that that can be done, and that if they want to go vegan or if they want to go vegetarian, that कोई problem नहीं होगा उनको, क्योंकि इतनी सारी myths है दुनिया भर में. So मुझे वो debunk करनी थी. But honestly, in the last few years I have introspected quite a bit, and today I'm just at ease where I'm like, अगर मैं यहाँ के कोई लोकल पहाड़ पे भी हूं ना, तो मुझे उतना ही सुकून मिलता है जितना मुझे एवरेस्ट के टॉप पे मिला था. So, so in a nutshell, that's how things started. 2002 में vegan बना. 8 साल की जर्नी के बाद 2009-10 में मैंने मेरा एवरेस्ट का ड्रीम डिस्कवर किया, and then I kind of moved further towards taking steps to achieving my dream.
So that's actually very accurate. I mean, it totally depends on you, on your mindset, whether or not you are willing to take up a challenge. And what I truly believe is that, like you gave an example, we as humans, I don't know how, to how, how far am I accurate, how far am I correct in saying that, we actually look for excuses, for our failures. We tend to look for excuses in in the surrounding, be it some other person, be it the situations. We blame it on faith, we blame it on the almighty, and that's terrible, instead of looking inside of us, looking for flaws inside of us, we tend to uh, make excuses, which is terrible. So very well said, sir. And that's whatever you said is truly inspiring, and I would really commend your dedication. So, next question would be, during your climb, there must have been a lot of challenges. I'm sure of that, be it physical or mental. So, would you like to put some light on that and enlighten us? What were the challenges, and how did you, uh, cross the obstacles?
Right, right. So tons and tons of challenges. If we हम एक पूरा podcast challenge पे ही कर सकते हैं, और वो 2-3 घंटा भी कम पड़ेगा उस podcast को. But I'm going to maybe share like a story or so to just kind of share my thoughts about this. But I'll start by saying that, let's say आपको अपना एवरेस्ट मिल गया, ठीक है. लेट्स से यू डिस्कवर्ड योर एवरेस्ट, यू फाउंड योर एवरेस्ट. लाइक ये मेरे लाइफ का एवरेस्ट है, राइट. हम सबकी लाइफ का एवरेस्ट अलग है. मेरी लाइफ का एवरेस्ट एवरेस्ट था. मे बी आपकी लाइफ का एवरेस्ट है कि मुझे कोई बिग स्टार्टअप खोलना है, या मुझे किसी ग्रेजुएट यूएस में किसी कॉलेज से ग्रेजुएशन करना है, और या व्हाटएवर जो भी आपके लाइफ का एवरेस्ट है, एनीथिंग, राइट? यूपीएससी के एग्जाम देनी है, आई डोंट नो क्या आप आपका एवरेस्ट क्या है लाइफ का, राइट? सो अगर उस जर्नी के दौरान आपको चैलेंजेस और एडवर्सिटी और ऑब्स्टिकल्स नहीं आ रहे हैं ना, तो मैं I can say with very, very, very good certainty that that is not your Everest. I can say that with very good certainty. And I can also say with very good certainty that आपका growth नहीं होने वाला है, क्योंकि आप constantly comfort zone में बैठे हो और जा रहे हो आगे। और मैं ऐसे भी नहीं बोल रहा हूँ कोई गलत है, राइट? आई डोंट नो आपने मूवी देखी है डियर जिंदगी, उसमें डियर जिंदगी में आई थिंक शाहरुख खान का एक डायलॉग है कि कभी कभी यार इजी एवरेस्ट भी चूज कर लेना चाहिए। कभी कभी लाइफ ओके इजी भी चल रही है और कुछ ग्रोथ नहीं हो रहा है और कंफर्ट जोन में बैठे हो, दैट इज ओके, क्योंकि उस लाइफ का वो सिचुएशन डिमांड करता है, राइट? मे बी मैंने 10 साल निकाल दिया, 12 साल निकाल दिया एवरेस्ट के बाद, एंड आई एम लाइक यार थोड़ा चिल मारते यार, लेट्स जस्ट टेक इट इजी फॉर अ व्हाइल बिफोर you know because it takes a lot away from you, these journeys and these challenges and this adversity. It takes you away too much mentally, physically, emotionally. आप like मुझे तो याद है 2019 when I finished Everest and came back home, मैं तो emotionally I was like empty, खोखला हो गया था मैं तो पूरा, like nothing to give to anyone, even including myself. And I'm like, yeah, chill, like you have, it's the pace is too fast, everything is happening too fast. Slow down, let's just stop let's just do easy things now in life. And then you just need that time. Anyway, getting back to the adversity, I still remember 2014 mein first time I tried climbing Everest, and I failed. 17 Sherpa guides had died in one of the single largest accidents on the mountain. Our expedition was cancelled, we all went home. एक साल और ट्रेनिंग की, वापस आ गया. So 5 years ट्रेनिंग की 2009-10 से लेके 2014 तक. Made my first attempt, cancelled, so went home. Came back to climb in 2015, and I still remember थोड़ा climbing हो चुका था. We had reached the Lhotse face, and we had looked at the face and everything, and सब हमारा पूरा decide हो गया था और हम वापस नीचे आ गए थे. और April 25th की बात है, and 11:55 in the morning, and I remember massive, gigantic earthquake hitting Nepal, 7.9 magnitude, the largest in a century. And that earthquake induced like a jumbo avalanche, an avalanche of unprecedented proportions. And I still remember when I saw the avalanche, and it was just 3 seconds away from me. From left of the sky to the right of the sky, Sara sky, as if the whole mountain had broken down and was coming on us. Full sky was filled with snow and ice and debris. You can't run left, you can't run right, you can't run any direction. You were going to get like मैं मरने वाला था. Like ऐसा भी नहीं था that I thought I was going to die. वैसा I was very certain I was going to die उस दिन. And to kind of then आया एवलांच, पूरा हिट किया हमें. एंड आई डोंट नो आपको पता है नहीं कि पर एवलांच में कैसा होता है कि देयर इज टू मच स्नो कमिंग इन समटाइम्स, एंड द स्नो कुड बी 2 feet 3 feet. आप दब जाओगे उतने स्नो के अंदर, वो स्नो थोड़ी देर में कंक्रीट बन जाएगा. इमेजिन करो आप जिंदा, किसने आपको गाड़ दिया हो, लाइक you're going to get buried alive, you're going to run out of breath, and you're going to die a very slow and a very painful and a very suffering wala death in these kind of situations. Sometimes you can just get knocked and just die before all of those things happen. But when this avalanche hit us, I like first 10 seconds I thought I had to prepare for digging out and all of those things. And 10 seconds के बाद मैं देख रहा हूँ अरे कहीं स्नो ही नहीं है, मेरे बॉडी पे 2 inch स्नो है सिर्फ. And I'm not going to die. Like, I made it alive. I was like so happy internally. अभी 15 सेकंड पहले सर्टेनिटी था मरने वाला था. I was तो saying prayers. अब सोचो बिलीवर भी वो टाइम पे हाथ वाथ जोड़ के बोल रहा है ओके अब मरने का टाइम आ गया है, टिकट कट गई है अब, बट you sometimes surrender to the mountains and you're like, okay यार, अब आना है तो अभी आना है, क्या कर सकते हैं, रह नहीं. So I was in that mode, and then 10 seconds later I'm like, जिंदा बच गया यार, not bad. But 10 seconds के बाद मैं देख रहा हूँ तो मैं सांस ही नहीं ले पा रहा हूँ. सांस लेने की बहुत ही कोशिश कर रहा हूँ, बट एज इफ समवन हैज पुट अ प्लास्टिक बैग ऑन माय फेस एंड लाइक कस के मुझे मारने की ट्राई कर रहा है. And I'm trying really hard to breathe in. And then first I thought I'm just panicking because of everything that has just happened in the last minute or so. I'm just in panic mode. And I'm like, let's just chill, let's calm down and see what happens. So I like just chilled, I calmed down, and I'm like, I can't still breathe. It's just air में क्या था समझ में नहीं आ रहा था. Snow and icy जा रहा है गले के अंदर, और बहुत ही like I'm like ये नहीं मारेगा तो ये मार देगा मुझे. अभी avalanche नहीं मारने वाला, अभी ये मुझे मार देगा. And then all I can listen to is the climber next to me saying, Kuntal, come inside my jacket. Kuntal, come inside my jacket and breathe. And my co-climber, जिसके बाजू में हम तीन climbers से जो लोग भाग के एक टेंट के पीछे छुप गए थे. So my co-climber had opened the jacket and said, Kuntal, come inside my jacket and breathe. So in his jacket, there were still ambient pockets of air. I went into his jacket. I started breathing. Believe me, first breath लिया ना तो I don't know. आई थिंक जब भी मैं पैदा हुआ होऊंगा ना और मुझे कैसा फील हुआ होगा, आई ऑलमोस्ट फेल्ट दैट वे. लाइक मैं यार, किसी ने मुझे ना वापस जन्म दिया है टाइप्स. सो फर्स्ट ब्रेथ लिया ना, आई एम लाइक, ओ मैन, दिस इज, बच गया यार. अब जेन्युइनली आई एम गोइंग टू मेक इट आउट अलाइव फ्रॉम दिस. एंड फॉर द नेक्स्ट 2.5 minutes as the avalanche passed over us, I was breathing inside that. uh, but believe me, if I was just 50 feet to my right, just 50 feet, there's a small hump, and थोड़ा नीचे जाता है और फिर ग्लेशियर के दूसरे पार्ट में वहाँ एक अलग टीम था. एवरेस्ट बेस कैंप इज अ बिग मैसिव ग्लेशियर, और करीबन 400-500 लोग रहते हैं उस ग्लेशियर पे ड्यूरिंग द सीजन. सपोर्ट स्टाफ तो उससे भी ज्यादा रहता है, ऑलमोस्ट 1000 लोगों का सपोर्ट स्टाफ रहता है. तो इट्स अ मैसिव, ऑलमोस्ट लाइक अ 2 kilometer लॉन्ग टेंटेड सिटी. एंड सो देयर टेंट्स स्प्रेड अक्रॉस एवरीवेयर. But 50 feet away from us, where there were tents, I remember there were 4 or 5 people who were badly injured and one person who even died. So mere difference between me sitting here and talking to you or dead was just 50 feet. And so that I'm alive is just sheer luck. There is nothing else. And यहाँ कभी कभी मुझे this is where I always think, and people will bring concepts like karma and everything into picture, but I'm like, if there is a higher being, why did the higher being save me, and why did the higher being kill the other ones, right? Because if the higher being chose to save me, then the other ones were definitely killed by the higher being. uh, so anyway, I'm not going to get into this debate because it's a very very complicated, controversial debate.
Right.
um, but I am not going. I feel that saying that mujhe bacha liya, main lucky hu, is a very egoistic viewpoint. I'm simply grateful and thankful that मैं जिंदा हूँ. और I think since that day I have considered the life to be a bonus, because मैंने तो मेरे prayers बोल लिए थे. I was ready to go back to where I had come from. And I was not dejected, or I had no regrets in my life, honestly speaking. अच्छी खासी लाइफ जी ली थी. चला भी गया होता तो रिग्रेट नहीं होती मुझे, honestly. So ये हुआ, हमारा एक्सपीडिशन दूसरे साल कैंसिल हो गया. 21 लोग मर गए बेस कैंप पे, 100 से ज्यादा लोग इंजर हो गए थे. 10,000 dead in Nepal, 5 lakh homeless. It was no longer a small tragedy, it was a humanitarian tragedy of that. It made no sense to climb the mountain. Those saal I went, those saal I was struck by massive tragedies. uh, One that almost took my life, and it almost felt as if Everest didn't want me there at all. Like, it's like, sit at home, man, don't come back. But look, if I remember when I came home, I kind of remember that a lot of people told me, Kuntal, you don't have what it takes. Kuntal, घर जाओ, ये मत करो, ये हमारे काम की चीज नहीं है. बहुत सारी बातें की. Basically everyone being like, stop this madness kind of a thing. And I'm like, यार, this is my dream, this is my baby. I have to do whatever it takes to protect it. And I have to do whatever it takes to nurture it. And I'm going to not give up. I am going to continue, trying. And and this bonus life जो मुझे मिला है, I have to go back. There's no way. Because if I don't, then regrets will now all be mine for the rest of my life. लोग तो बोलते रहेंगे, लोगों का काम है, ये सब मत करो, ये मत करो, तब तक तो होते रहता है. So you listen to it and you get influenced, your loss. मैं वैसे सोच रहा था. So I'm going to go back. I went back in 2016 and I summited Everest in 2016. Went back again in 2019, summited Everest for the second time in 2019. And honestly, I'm going to tell you that there's going to be tons and tons and tons of adversity, obstacles, failures. This is part and parcel of any Everest like journey. Uh, and one quote that I remember from one of my favorite mountaineers, Sir Edmund Hillary, is that you have to be comfortable in the uncomfortable. Growth, sara ka sara growth, everything that you are looking out for, because so many of your viewers are all youngsters and young minds, tuning in. I can assure you that all the growth and the progress and everything that you are looking out for is in the uncomfortable. अपने कंफर्ट जोन से बाहर निकलो और उस अनकंफर्टेबल जोन में कंफर्टेबल हो जाओ. दैट्स द सीक्रेट बिहाइंड लाइफ सक्सेस. मैंने तो फर्स्ट हैंड देख लिया है. All the growth of Kuntal as a human being that has happened in the last 2009 से 2023 तक has almost always happened in uncomfortable situations, because those are situations where when your weaknesses are extremely exposed, not to the world को तो expose हो ही जाएंगी, but even to yourself. Because कभी कभी है ना, हम कैसा सोचते हैं, मैं तो तोप हूँ, मैं तो इनविंसिबल हूँ, मुझे तो कोई कुछ नहीं कर सकता है, मुझे तो सब कुछ आता है, आई एम तो नो इट ऑल काइंड ऑफ बट जैसे वो अनकंफर्टेबल सिचुएशन आया ना, ये नहीं आता है, ये नहीं आता है, ये नहीं आता है, यहाँ बेटर करना है, यहाँ बेटर करना है, ये करना है, वो करना है. So suddenly you are completely exposed and you realize, yaar, I have to get better. I have to get fitter. I have to get faster. I have to get stronger. I have to get mentally all of those as well. And this is a never ending journey, because you are never going to ever learn everything that is there to learn on this planet in the smallest field possible. And I can assure you, you will not even learn. अगर इस जन्म में 0.1% भी लर्न कर लिया ना किसी फील्ड का, आई वुड तो कंसिडर दैट निर्वाणा एंड बी जस्ट हैप्पी. इतना वास्ट है ये वर्ल्ड, इतना वास्ट, और इतना कुछ हमें पता नहीं है. एंड देन टू थिंक दैट मुझे सब कुछ पता है, I think is a position of ego, in my opinion, and is a position that you should give up if you really want to grow as a human being and as a person. And mountains have taught this to me over and over and over again.
That's your determination, sir. Like it's truly admirable, I'll say. And like I have a lot of you know people whom I know. They wish to do certain things, and like for example, let's take climbing the Everest. They wish to do it, but they don't find the motivation somehow. And obviously, like you mentioned before, you were also in that phase where you felt like there is no need to do that, but still you did it, right? And that's what differentiates you from those people who haven't been who haven't yet come out of that phase in which the I'll say being demotivated or unmotivated actually, right? So we at Inactive Shamlal, sir, we advocate for sustainable development basically, and the 17 SDGs that are the UN has devised. We tend to follow them and we tend to implement all the principles through our projects. And I know that you are also an environmentalist. So, what steps do you take in your everyday life to promote sustainability And what message would you like to convey to our listeners about living a more eco-friendly lifestyle?
I think everything from, I think there are, a few basic things you can do. You can shift to a primarily plant-based diet, uh, but you can also shift to primarily eating just how much you need. राइट, हमारे खाने का स्टाइल कैसा हो गया ना, हम अभी सब कुछ खाने का भी नहीं, एवरीथिंग वी डू एवरीथिंग इन अबंडेंस। खाना खाना है तो ओवर ईट करो, शॉपिंग करना है तो ओवर शॉप करो, पढ़ना है तो ओवर पढ़ो, कुछ भी करना है तो हम सब कुछ में ओवर करना है, हमें हर चीज में ओवर करना है। एवरेस्ट चढ़ना है तो ओवर एवरेस्ट चढ़ो, जैसे मैंने किया। सो आई एम ऑल्सो एज कल्पेबल टू सम ऑफ द थिंग्स there. So anyway, I'm going to stick to our the question you asked. I honestly feel that first of all, basic things a person can do is switch to a primarily plant-based diet, but also reduce the amount of food they are eating and eat according to their needs, and not just because food is available to them, डालते रहो। Shift to a lifestyle where you are trying to minimize the use of single use plastics, right? तो अगर अपनी खुद की बैग ले जा सकते हो और उसमें सब सामान खरीद सकते हो, जहां भी आपको प्लास्टिक की बैग्स मिल रही है या वो सब मिल रहा है, वो थोड़ा अवॉइड करने की कोशिश करो। जनरली आई वुड से थोड़ा ज्यादा मैक्रो लेवल पे जाके अगर हम बात करें, तो आई वुड से कि कंजम्पशन चीजों का बंद कर दो। थिंग्स दैट यू डोंट नीड, प्लीज डोंट कंज्यूम, राइट? सो उस लेवल पे, क्योंकि अब मैं वीगन भी बन गया, मैंने सब कुछ मैं प्लास्टिक का भी देख रहा हूँ, ध्यान दे रहा हूँ, इसका ध्यान दे रहा हूँ, उसका ध्यान दे रहा हूँ, हर चीज का ध्यान दे रहा हूँ, बट मैं अबंडेंस में चीजें कंज्यूम कर रहा हूँ, वो एनवायरमेंट को इम्पैक्ट करने वाली है, राइट? मैं पूरे टाइम मैं बोलूंगा चलो मैं फ्लाइट नहीं लूंगा, मैं ये नहीं करूंगा या मैं वो नहीं करूंगा, मैं छोटी छोटी, आई एम लाइक, इंस्टेड ऑफ दिस एक्सट्रीम व्यू पॉइंट कि मैं ये नहीं करूंगा, मैं ये नहीं करूंगा, मैं ये नहीं करूंगा, मैं ये नहीं करूंगा, फ्लाइट लो, बट अगर एटमोस्ट नेसेसिटी है तो लो, राइट? अगर अदरवाइज ऑप्शन है आपके पास कहीं ज्यादा शेयर ट्रैवल करने का, जैसे ट्रेन हो गया या कोई अलग फॉर्म ऑफ ट्रांसपोर्टेशन, तो वो करो। कहीं दूसरी चीजें, राइट, लाइक हर चीजों में ये मेंटालिटी लेके आओ मेरे हिसाब से। बट आई वुड से प्राइमरीली अ फ्यू थिंग्स, गो वीगन, बिकॉज दैट विल डेफिनेटली बी अ बिग टैंजिबल स्टेप towards contributing to reverse the impact of climate crisis. वो डेफिनेटली वन है। एंड लुक एट योर कंजम्पशन पैटर्न्स, स्टार्ट कंज्यूमिंग लेसर ओवरऑल इन ऑल फैसेट्स ऑफ लाइफ, रीयूज करो ज्यादातर चीजें। मैंने बहुत साल पहले कपड़े खरीदना बंद कर दिया, लाइक अभी मेरे पास लाइक 3 या 4 टी शर्ट है, 2 या 3 जीन्स है, और जस्ट बेसिक चीजें। तो until and unless I absolutely need something, I don't buy it unnecessarily. So ये सारी चीजें आई फील करना शुरू करो। लुक, मैं कुछ बैठ के प्रिस्क्रिप्शन नहीं देने वाला हूँ। आई थिंक आप सब यहाँ अडल्ट हो, बट आई वुड से थोड़ी अगर ये चीजें अगर आप ध्यान में रख लो, तो एनवायरनमेंट का तो अच्छा हो ही जाएगा, बट एनिमल्स का भी अच्छा हो जाएगा, आपके खुद के हेल्थ का भी अच्छा हो जाएगा, आपके खुद के पॉकेट में जो पैसा है उसका भी थोड़ा अच्छा हो जाएगा। अननेसेसरीली ऐसी लाइफ नहीं जीनी पड़ेगी जहाँ यू आर कॉन्स्टेंटली अपने चादर से बाहर ही आपके पैर पड़े हुए हैं, और आप उस लाइफस्टाइल को मेंटेन करने के लिए इतना स्ट्रेस ले रहे हो, उस स्ट्रेस की वजह से आपको बीमारी हो रही है, वो बीमारी के लिए आप डॉक्टर के पास जा रहे हो, उसको भी पैसा दे रहे हो, देन इट्स जस्ट अ रट एंड अ विशियस cycle that you have fallen into. So I would just say a vegan lifestyle, look at your एवरी लाइक हर दिन में क्या आइटम्स यूज कर रहे हो, वहां अगर आप कुछ भी एलिमिनेट कर सकते हो, ओवरऑल मैक्रो लेवल पे भी आपके कंजम्पशन को थोड़ा ध्यान दो। और आई वुड से मेरे तरफ से तो थोड़ी बहुत ये चीजें जो राइट अवे मेरे माइंड में आ रही है, दैट वुड बी माय मैसेज। बट आई वुड से biggest of all, look at your consumption mindset and look at your practices. And I feel if you can get smarter there and stop buying new things, but just start using what is there, I think that would perhaps be a very big point in addition to going vegan.
That's very well said, sir. Like through this, we can actually sustain, and through living in this way, we can actually save some bucks, live an economic life. We can sustain, our resources for the future. Also, through if we are actually, you know implementing this lifestyle, minimal living, we will actually succeed, and we will actually find us doing some good work. Yeah, and there is 50 seconds of rapid fire.
Let's do it.
Right, this is the actual final round. So the first one is, what's one thing that you have longed for?
What is the one thing that I've longed for? This is a very tough rapid fire question. What is it that one? Okay, okay, I'm going to, make it a little non-serious and not keep it, very. Let's say, let's redo the question. Which is the one thing that I long for when I am coming back from an expedition from a food perspective? I think most of the time जब भी मेरा expedition खत्म हो जाता है, so मेरे share, my cook knows that, look, I don't drink, so I don't like alcohol, so I'll never put, things that are detrimental to my performance and my progress in life. वो मैं पसंद नहीं करता मेरे body में डालना. So but मैं every expedition के बाद एक coke बनता है. So one bottle of coke is okay, and my Sherpa guide knows this, so he always, the moment I come back towards the camp, he's waiting for that with that bottle of coke. So I definitely over a course of time have started developing a longing, because I will then not drink coke through rest of the year, but then when I'm on the expedition and I finish and I come back, I'm like, oh, coke milne wala hai. And then once I'm back in the city, I'm going to eat that massive paper masala dosa. That's like my biggest, like, those are the things I long for. I'm like a foodie. Look, I don't think of things like मैं घर जाऊंगा, वाइफ होगी, मम्मी पापा होंगे, और ये मेरा खाना मुझे चाहिए भाई पहले, अभी 50 दिन से मैं ये एक्सपीडिशन का खाना खा रहा हूँ, अभी मुझे जाके अच्छा खाना खाना है. Yeah, go ahead.
I personally love masala dosa and aloo ke parathe. That's like, yeah. All right. On to the next question. What's your dream holiday city or country?
What's my dream holiday city or country? I would definitely love to go back to, hello, are you there? Eh, Hello. Yeah, so I would definitely at some point love to go to Japan, and visit the country and learn a bit more about their culture. I have always been fascinated by Japanese people and by their discipline and by their focus, and have read so much about samurai culture, and just been so fascinated by their language and just by their mannerisms and everything, that um, one day when I have decent amount of money in bank and savings in bank, I hope that myself and my family will go visit Japan. But yeah, that's my, I would say, dream vacation, if I have to choose to go to a city. Hello, hello, hello. Hmm. Hello. Yeah, can you hear me?
Oh, yes. Yeah, right. I can hear you. Yes. There was a bit of a glitch there.
Yeah.
I think it's sorted. Yeah. All right. So it's Japan then. And the next question, the third question is, who is your ideal mountaineer?
Definitely, some of my favorite mountaineers are, a role model of mine is Ed Viestus. He has written a very famous book called No Shortcuts to the Top. If anyone is, who is tuning in, if you are looking out for a book recommendation, I would say that please go buy No Shortcuts to the Top and read it. It is applicable to every journey of life, not just mountaineering, but every journey of life. There's tons of learnings to be had. Go read that book, it will change your life. And then one of my other favorite climbers is Jerzy Kukuza. I honestly believe that he is the goat of mountaineering. And if anyone doesn't know him, people think that today's mountaineers are great and this and that, and there are documentary movies on them, and they'll go and see and they'll tell me, hey, look, this guy did this, this guy did this. what Jersey Kukuza did in mid 1980s, अगर अगले 100 साल में भी किसी ने रिपीट कर दिया ना वापस, तो भी मैं मान जाऊं. That is the level of his achievements. He is the goat. मतलब उसके ऊपर कोई नहीं है, और जो अगला गोट है ना वो उससे माइल्स एंड माइल्स दूर है. तो उस लेवल के उसके अचीवमेंट्स है. तो अगर कोई माउंटेनियरिंग एंथुजियास्ट है, प्लीज जाके जर्सी कुकुजा के बारे में पढ़ो, बिकॉज एक्चुअल रियल माउंटेनियर्स के बारे में हमें पढ़ना और सीखना बहुत जरूरी है.
Thank you so much, sir. That's wonderful to hear. We'll definitely be eager to following your future endeavors. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today. So, Kuntal sir, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your incredible journey and inspiring insights. I'd also like to thank the viewers. Thank you so much again, the team, for such tremendous work. All right, we'll end with the podcast session now.
Thank you so
Have a
much.
great
Really,
day,
really
sir.
appreciate, you folks having me, and hopefully, I know this was a short one. I am a little short on time, but hopefully I can, come back some again, and we can discuss a little bit more about my climbs, and some stories from the climb themselves.
Sure, sir.
Cool.
That goes without saying. I mean,
Super.
I'd love to interact with you even more because
Super.
it was really inspiring. I loved
Super.
it.
Super. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Have a
Thank you.
great day.
You too. You too. Bye.
Bye. A huge thanks for the viewers for staying with us. Hope you enjoyed the podcast. We will meet next week with yet another fantastic podcast. Until then, make sure you subscribe to our channel and stay updated. Until next time, bye bye.